We are here with Joel Mower, the founder of Dink Ninjas out of Austin, Texas. Thank you so much for being on the Picklebox podcast. We're very excited to have you and be able to hear some of your story and share that with our listeners and really get to push out the message that you have behind your brand. We really love what you're doing.
Thanks so much for having me on. This is a pleasure.
So what made you want to get into pickleball in the first place? What was the driving factor behind the brand? We would just love to be able to hear that story and be able to showcase that to our audience.
Yeah, I was actually introduced to the sport by a pretty high level pro out here in Austin, Texas. A guy named Brandon Insickpong. He's a family friend of ours, and he was over at the house with his family one night for dinner and asked me if I had started playing pickleball yet. And I said, no. And he says, well, what the heck's your excuse? So has me out to the back of his vehicle out in the driveway. And he's got typical pro. There's tons of paddle companies out there trying to sign with him. So he's got like 25 paddles in the trunk of his car. And he says, hey, man, try this one. And pulled out a paddle and gave it to me. And about a week later, I went to the local park and got paired up with a bunch of people. I had no idea who they were, just knew that they were all pickleballers out there, and got introduced to the sport, just stacking paddles with a group of people. And about 10 minutes in, I was totally in love with the competition and kind of the smack talk and camaraderie and all that goes along with it. And the rest is history. I fell in love with the sport.
And how long ago was that? When was that?
It's coming up on about 3 years ago is when I first started playing.
That's awesome. So what made you start a pickleball brand within the space? And I would also love to know what your background is on like branding as a whole. Obviously we've had discussions off camera and, we're connected on LinkedIn and all that, but I'd really love for you to showcase what that looks like from the back end perspective of running a brand within the pickleball space.
Yeah, to be honest with you, my background is in commercial and residential development. And now I'm a part of a inspection company. So where we do inspections on commercial and residential properties. When anything changes hands, we'll get hired and make sure everybody's getting what they're paying for as far as quality and health and safety and all that. So nothing in the branding arena at all. What actually sparked the brand, I actually got my family got a pretty tough diagnosis. My wife was diagnosed with cancer, and it sent me into a bit of a bad headspace, being a young, healthy, somewhat young, I should say now, relatively speaking, young, healthy family. We're mom and dad to two young kiddos, and kind of sent me into a tough headspace there, getting that diagnosis with my wife, and was trying to figure out how to kind of clear my head and be able to come back to my family and be a supportive husband and a good dad. And with young kids, you're not really wanting to share too much information. You don't want to get them too involved until they need to be. And so I was trying to figure out a way to clear my head and come back to my family and be supportive there. And I'd been playing pickleball for probably 6 or so months before that, and was just experiencing so much good energy and so much good vibes and camaraderie and support and everything from the sport of pickleball that I was not sleeping one night. And I thought of, hey, if I start something kind of artistic, entrepreneurial, I can pour my negative headspace into that and then come back to my family and be able to perform like I really want to, be a supportive husband to my wife and a good dad to my kiddos. And so I thought of, hey, I'm got a little bit of an artistic design background. I've always been kind of artistic. Let's see if we can come up with a name and some logos and just start making some hats and see where it takes us. So I started designing different stuff, running over some different options and trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I decided, hey, I came up with the name Dink Ninja. You're playing against a ninja. He's going to eat your lunch every time. And so I figured Dink Ninja, intuitive for me. Let's do it. So started designing hats, and that's where it all came from. Wearing hats around, and people were asking me, "Hey, where'd that brand come from? I haven't seen that one yet." And so they wanted to purchase hats from me, and I thought, "Oh, well, this is the start." Um, so then I figured out, well, I need to be able to have a way of selling these things, create social media, create a point of sale and a web design and all that kind of stuff. And I'm kind of a student of life. I love learning new skills, and so all the different challenges and different developments that I needed to delve into with the sport and developing all that kind of stuff around a brand was a ton of fun for me. I really thrive when I get to learn new things. So it's been a super fun journey so far.
That's amazing. We were just grabbed from the first time we took notice of your brand, just the energy and the positive vibe that came from it. Um, it's so exciting to hear that you were able to spin something that was so difficult for your family personally and turn it into something with such great positive energy.
Yeah, I've experienced some mental health challenges with relatives in the past, and I've seen some different outcomes. And so when I was faced with this challenge, I decided, hey, I'm going to go the complete opposite direction. I'm going to see if I can turn this into something good. And long story short, my wife has beat cancer. She's super healthy. And to be brutally honest with you, through the whole thing, she was a heck of a lot stronger than I was, for me, than I ever was for her or could dream of being, for myself and my kiddos, and our family. She's been a tremendous blessing, and I couldn't be more proud of her outlook and the way she treated the situation and the diagnosis and everything. And we've been super, super blessed. And she's super healthy and running around with the kiddos and having a great time. And we've learned a lot, and I'm blessed to be in the position I am now.
That's amazing. She's the true ninja.
Absolutely, she's the health ninja.
That's amazing. So starting with hats, where is Dink Ninjas now?
So I started with hats, and then I got approached by a paddle company, and they asked me if I ever want to design my own paddle and brand it, to let them know. And so shortly after that, maybe 4 months after doing the hats, I started designing some different paddle ideas, and got those manufactured and started selling those. And then just as social media kind of snowballed, started doing some different collaborations and had some different requests for collaborations with the brand. And I was able to start doing some different apparel options. And then we've done some different collaborations and some giveaways, which have really blessed us with a big reach on social media, and through LinkedIn and Instagram and all the different social media platforms. We've been able to reach a big audience and have a ton of fun while we're at it.
That's amazing. So what is like on your bucket list for the brand now? I mean, is there anything that you are like really have on the horizon that you're trying to achieve, or is it just still that snowball effect that you're just kind of riding the high of?
To a certain degree, it's the snowball effect. And like I'd mentioned in some of my different social media posts and my story here with the mental health side of pickleball, I've figured out that I was blessed enough to be invited on a couple podcasts in the previous term of Dink Ninjas, and I realized that once I started spreading the word of how pickleball has affected me, and the turnaround that I've been able to create in our lives with it, I realized I started getting DMs from all these random people that I had no idea who they were, and they're all over the U.S. and all over the world, and they said, hey, you're able to share your story in a way where you can say the serious things, but you can also laugh and joke and have a good time outside of it and around the subject. And I realized that it has created an opening and a pathway for a lot of different people to be able to share their story with me, just through DMs and LinkedIn messages and emails through my website and all that, where it's created a forum for people to be able to come out and share tough situations or tough diagnosis or different mental health challenges that they've been approached by in their walk in their life. And I realized that my main goal is not to create this massive, huge market international brand. My main goal with this, since it's affected me so positive, is to just create a forum through the brand, create an ear for people to be able to come out and share the different challenges they've faced, and just make pickleball, the sport of pickleball, as approachable for everybody else as it has been for me. And people are having so much fun and creating so many good forums for their friend groups and their corporate groups and all the different community groups that they're a part of. I think if I can expand that way, where I can just be making a positive impression on the world as much as I can, to the biggest reach I can, I think that's a huge success for me.
That's awesome to hear, because both Sarah and myself, that's what drew us to starting the podcast. Was we saw the benefit for both the mental and physical side for individuals, and it's just such a catalyst of change people's trajectory for their entire lives. And it's great to hear a brand really taking an interest in that. Obviously you not being a brand yourself, but like having that brand and being the voice of that brand and taking an interest in the journey that people are on, and being that forum for really to see positive change. I think that's what makes this sport so amazing, is the fact that it does offer that to people. It gets people off the couch who might not have been as active as they wanted to be over the years. That can turn into a catalyst for getting into better and better shape to play the sport and to get into other sports. It gives people an outlet for the mental health side. It gets them into a community, really gets them into a great friend group. And it's just an amazing sport to see from the outside looking in, and being from the inside looking out, to watch how it impacts people's lives.
Absolutely. And that's really one of the things that I've seen lately, as far as all the adults that are getting pulled into the sport by their friends and family and all that. I don't believe that adults have experienced a level of competition and a positive environment like that in a very long time. And I think that, you're in high school, you're a high school athlete, or maybe you're a college athlete if you're one of the more talented few out there. But after that, where are you competing? Yeah, maybe you're competing for a raise at work, or some accolade at work, or an award or something like that. But the interesting thing with pickleball is it's so approachable, and it's so much fun, and there's so much fun competition in it, whether you're in a community or whether you're in a league somewhere in your local hometown, or maybe you're traveling. To be able to create that level of competition again for the adult crowd is something that I don't think happens very often. There aren't that many adults competing in soccer or tennis, football, basketball, or anything like that,
Absolutely. And it creates such a spark that is contagious. And whether it's just dropping in at the park and feeling that competitive spark for an hour and a half or 2 hours while you're there, or actually traveling to a tournament 3 states away and playing at a competitive high level, it doesn't matter. You're bringing back that spark that, like you said, you might not have been able to experience as an adult in years and years. And we all feel that, from the beginner pickleball player, like I said, at the park, to competitive tournament players. And that definitely brings pickleball players together with that joy that comes from competing.
Absolutely. I'm a strong believer in that. I think that's a great aspect of the game for sure.
When what we've seen that's been so much fun too, is since we're doing so much traveling, it's just an instant plug-in to so many different communities. And we've been able to meet so many individuals on the road just because we're playing pickleball that we never would have been able to meet otherwise, which has been one of the coolest things that I've been able to experience. And it doesn't matter what level of play it is. We've rarely run into someone who's not friendly, no matter what the level is, from the beginner to the pro. It's just this really great community of individuals. I've always equated it back to like the island of misfit toys, where you have all these people who have so many different backgrounds and so many different backgrounds in athletics and jobs and stories from their lives. And it brings everyone together on this on a smaller court. People are laughing, they're talking, and you walk away truly having a friendship.
Yeah, and
Absolutely.
Those differences just literally get erased as soon as you step onto the court.
Yeah, and I mean, the diversity of players anywhere you go. We've got a town that's neighboring us here in Austin, called Georgetown, and there's a great local park out there, McMaster's Park, and you'll go out there and there's a guy out there. He's an older Polish gentleman, and he's always out there with his grandson, and they're having a ball. And they pair up together. They switch partners all the time, and they're just amazing people. They have such a warm spirit. And when it turns out it's the grandfather that taught the grandkid how to play and introduced him to the sport. And where on planet Earth is there a sport where you can play competitively with your grandfather or great grandfather and just have a ton of fun? You're not going to be able to do that playing basketball or football or baseball or anything like that. But pickleball is so conducive to amazing relationships and such a cross section of society that I don't think happens in any other sport.
Right. And from that community that gets created with those differences being erased comes that impact, like you mentioned, the mental wellness. A lot of people feel so isolated just going to their jobs or working remotely, thinking about their work, thinking about their family. But when it comes time to trying to establish new friendships as an adult, it can be incredibly difficult, especially if you don't have little kids and making friends with the other kids' parents. It can be isolating to experience adulthood. And then you join the sport of pickleball, and it's so much easier to make new friends as a pickleball player because we all come together at the park or at the club, and we have that in common.
Yeah, I've had so much fun with the sport, and it creates such a great environment. I mean, people are coming from all walks of life, all such a diverse background, like you're saying, of work and play and church and social outings and all that kind of stuff. I mean, the impact that the sport can have on a community population is just amazing. It's amazing to see it develop.
Right. Where do you think we are with the trajectory of the sport? I mean, they say it's the fastest growing sport in the US, but I mean, you're an entrepreneur within the sport. So where do you see the sport going next?
I think, honestly, I think sky's the limit with this. And I think it's really not necessarily so much the sport that can spread it like wildfire and continue to do so. I think it's the more different populations are exposed to the benefits like we've been talking about. I think that it's endless. Endless population can get involved once they see the benefits and hear about the benefits of it. I think it's endless, and it really, the bread and butter of the sport. Everybody talks about the pro level and the level of competition and the different big brands that are involved and the tours and all that kind of stuff. The fuel is you and I. The fuel is people in towns all over the U.S. getting exposed to it and realizing the mental health benefits, the physical health benefits, all the great endorphins that you get from being involved and playing in the pickleball community. I think it's endless, and it's you and I that can make the impact little by little throughout our communities. And then, like y'all were saying, you travel all over the U.S. doing different events and tournaments and all that. I mean, you can make such a positive impact yourselves wherever you go, and you can plant the seeds of all the different benefits that we've just been talking about.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's been really fun too on like the coaching side, because we've been able to see individuals who had these very varied athletic backgrounds who, like I said before, might not have really been into playing a sport for, maybe a decade or more. And the way they light up when they're out hitting a pickleball and the way that they light up when they're moving around and we've had individuals tell us like, oh, I used to run half marathons. I used to be a snowboarder. I used to do this. I used to do that. And they're like, I want to get back out here. I want to get back into shape. And to see people light up like that and want to better themselves and feel better about themselves and join that community, it doesn't get much better than that. I mean, I walk away from nights of coaching, even if it's only like, if we have one student and that student lights up and has that light bulb moment of seeing how enjoyable the sport is and what they can get out of it, there's no better feeling than that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I couldn't agree more. The impact of just impacting one individual, it lights me up. And then, I mean, you hear different messages from people and different people in the community that have, since you talked to them, they've picked up a paddle and started playing. And I mean, it's endless possibilities to me. And I think that the impact that people like you and I and people in the community can have introducing people to the sport is really endless. And I think another benefit that kind of goes unseen so far, I was talking to some physicians about the sport, and if you're on the court, all the different dynamics that are going on there is really amazing benefits for neurological health as well. And getting the right brain talking to the left brain and keeping everything stimulated up there, from learning something new, trying to perfect the different techniques. You have all the human interaction out there. I think that it can really stave off, for a lot of the older folks, it can stave off a lot of maybe Alzheimer's or, dementia or any of these things that older generations are afflicted with. And I think that the neurological benefits are kind of unforeseen so far.
Yeah, definitely. And anything that can, I mean, like you had said too, with the grandfather and the grandson, any sport that can benefit generations that are that far apart in so many different aspects, from the neurological to the physical, I mean, it really doesn't get better than that.
Yeah. And I think that's there's a little bit of news going around about all the different injuries that are happening in the sport of pickleball and all that stuff. But I think if we approach it from a health standpoint and a benefit standpoint, then we can start shaping how people prepare to play and how people recover from playing as well. And we can really lengthen the playing career of a lot of amateurs as well as pros that may not warm up and recover properly like they should.
Yeah, there's definitely a right way to do it for sure. And with any sport, you're going to have injuries, and there's pros and cons. I mean, from the sports that in my background, I would say that this probably has, when you come from like snowboarding or skateboarding or even like road cycling or cyclocross, I mean, people get hurt all the time, and that's part of being an athlete, right? But like you said, if you are warming up the correct way and that's why I love the sport so much too, because like you're saying, it starts to impact all these different facets of your life. So you start to look at nutrition, you start to look at stretching, you look at the mobility aspect. Okay, well, maybe now I'm going to get out and I'm going to get on the treadmill for a little bit to try to up my endurance levels. And it just snowballs into a much healthier lifestyle in all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and like John said, all sports carry some level of risk. A couple aspects that we've implemented just recently to try and stay healthy off the court, we're making sure to stretch after we play, and then therefore become more flexible for the next time we play and try and prevent injuries. And then literally just yesterday, I started wearing protective eye gear because everyone in our group is playing with the highest level of technology of paddle and super hard hitting young guys, and it's dangerous. But just a couple shifts, like putting on the goggles or stretching afterwards, and it is a very safe sport, and the positive impacts mentally and physically outweigh any risk.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Just the benefits that we see every day. I mean, you put some safety glasses on and you're going to have a great time, right? It's totally worth getting out there, all the benefits that you experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what does pickleball look like for you and your family now? Are you getting the kids out onto the court?
So my daughter, she's 4 now, and my son is 7. My daughter is super good at pulling all the balls out of the containers and throwing them around on the court. Uh, Her name's JJ, and she has a ball every time we go out there. She isn't super good at picking them up yet, but it really enjoys tossing them around. My son is catching the bug. He's 7. He's grabbing the paddle and hitting the balls around and seeing the dots connecting and the technique coming up is a ton of fun. And we've got a super dynamic community here around Austin, Texas. So a lot of people to play with and train with and all that. So I think he's gonna fall in love with the sport as well.
That's great.
Yeah, I am, and I envy the community in Austin. I was able to visit a few years ago and play some pickleball, and it's an amazing community down there. And I had a great time while I was there. So that's fantastic that you not just have that, but obviously you're fostering a wonderful community with what you're doing. And it's great to see that from the grassroots level. So we absolutely love what you're doing. And, we can't wait to see what happens next with everything that you touch.
I appreciate all the kind words. It's a ton of fun, and I just continue to spread the word and introduce people to the sport and what we're doing, and all the different beneficial aspects of it. I really thrive in this community.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for jumping on a call with us for the podcast. We've been wanting to get on this call for a while now, and it's been a great conversation. And like I said before, we absolutely love what you're doing and cannot wait to see what comes next for you.
Awesome. Well, hey, I really appreciate you guys having me on. It's been an honor, and I'm looking forward to watching you guys and see how the picklebox progresses and all your travels out there on social media.
Thank you, Joel. We appreciate you.